polarized and fragmented internationally.
Well, first, thank you for inviting me, Xiaohua. Very happy to be here. I must admit that the theme that I suggested for this dialogue, the Centric at Home, was devised several months ago, and I decided to think of a theme that allowed me to talk about anything I wanted. So that's the simple explanation for the theme. It's not that mystical. But quite seriously, your starting question that is both laissez-faire, but also readily allows for mistruths and misinformation to be not only propagated, but to sustain themselves. So people can live in their own realities, with their own facts, or even just their own insistence on denying facts. This too is a very serious problem now in many more democracies, both in the advanced world as well as in the developing world. The fact that there is no longer that sense that we have to have a common set of facts, a common basis for understanding, even if we then take different views as to what the solutions are, or even what the causes of the problem are. But we need a common foundation of information and facts. And you need institutions for that. You need media institutions, but you also need to grow up and go through school and be part of a society where there's some respect for facts, upon which you can disagree when it comes to solutions. And that doesn't help, because not only do you lack this natural corrective mechanism in politics, you also now have this problem, a very serious problem, of information itself being fragmented, or how information is received being fragmented, and that itself sustains the problem. The difference is harder. But I'll just stop there, but I'm answering your question in a very broad way. I'm not yet getting to how the Centric at home, but we have a problem. There is a problem in one democracy after another. There's a problem internationally now with increased polarization.
Thank you. The question is whether there's some way to get out of the pessimism. Whether to get out of pessimism requires this sense of commonality, or sense of solidarity, or this sense of country being united by common purpose. Whether pessimism depends on that, or whether we are facing a world where people feel that they have discovered their secret formula for success, and therefore just stick with the formula, but this formula now ends up in a different situation for us. So I'm only wondering that if we say the common first position has to be people being united to a sense of common purpose or common vision, what are some way by which we can get this sense of commonality or solidarity?
Well, I think it needs both institutions and social culture. The institutions are critical because they create the basis for common experience that people go through. Schools are critical. And how you organize schools, whether you organize them so that people of different backgrounds go to different schools, or whether they come together in the same schools, is really critical in any society. Schools, urban neighborhoods, or housing estates, do they involve segregation, or do they involve people living together across different income groups, broadly speaking, and different ethnic groups or cultures? That too is it's an institutional feature of society. Housing neighborhoods, ones which segregate people or keep a distance between them, or they're neighborhoods which try as best as possible to, or create the opportunities for interaction between people. And the workplace is important. The workplace too is an institution. You have open workplaces open to people of all backgrounds? What are the hiring practices of employers? Do employers look out for every talent, every ability, and see how they can meld the team together? Or do they hire based on social pedigree, or even in some countries based on ethnicity? These are very important institutional features. And we know the answer to that. We need institutions that give people common experiences and increase that connectedness between them. But we also need a culture. We need a social culture. And I believe a culture of respect is critical to breeding optimism and reducing the possibility of this us versus them mindset. And I don't just mean respect in the sense of the respect for differences, the respect for the fact that people are different from each other. That's not the sense in which I mean it. I mean a respect for every effort, a respect for every contribution, a respect for someone striving to be better, to develop a particular skill, a respect for the different merits within a meritocracy, the different merits within a broader concept of meritocracy, respect for what everyone brings to the table. And that's a deeper form of respect than merely respecting differences and accepting that we are somehow together in the same society. And that respect doesn't come naturally either. It has to be nurtured. Nurtured from young, nurtured through our community organizations and activities, nurtured through the tone and substance of political and social leadership. And respect is very powerful. It's a very powerful motivator for everyone. To know that you're not on your own and you're respected for who you are and what effort you're making and what you're contributing. It's a very powerful motivator for individuals, but it's also what gives us collective pride. Because it's when we respect everyone's contributions and efforts that we also take some pride in what's being achieved collectively. I mean, everyone feels the gust of wind when Yip Bin Xiu wins a gold, when Geraldine wins the gold and the silver in the Bokia competition, or whichever competition you're talking about. Everyone feels that gust of wind. It's not just admiration. We're not just admiring someone with an exceptional talent. We feel that gust of wind too. There's collective pride. So this culture of respect is, in my view, very powerful. It has to go hand in hand with renewing and refreshing all our institutions, so as to provide the basis for people to have that connectedness with each other. So the centre can hold if we focus on the institutions that keep people close together and avoid distances from widening, and if we continually breed the culture of respect, not just respect for differences, but respect for every effort and what each person is trying to achieve, and taking collective pride in these different achievements.
Well, like same, President, when you talk about the culture of respect, say this has to be nurtured. It's almost like a generational change that we have to address. I remember the first time we met you as the board of directors of Honor Singapore, that you made the point about social sustainability and why everything goes back, as it were, most fundamentally to social sustainability. Just wondering, why do you think social sustainability should be kind of the fundamental pursuit?
Well, I think it's the foundation for everything we want to achieve. If you think of an economy, if you think of the economic vibrance and economic growth that all societies would like, an economy really is itself part of, an economy is part of society. You can think of it either in terms of businesses coming in with investments, and looking for people to hire. Or you can think of it in terms of how you provide opportunities for everyone. An economy is about providing and growing opportunities. And those two things go hand in hand. You need the businesses to grow, to invest, to look, to hire people and develop them. You need the businesses to innovate. You need the universities and scientists to be there at the frontiers of creating new knowledge. But it's ultimately about opportunities for everyone. And you create opportunities for everyone, not just through economic incentives, but through social mobility, through education, through helping everyone discover themselves and just go that extra distance beyond what they themselves thought they were capable of. So social mobility is bound up with economic opportunity and with the vibrant economy. I would say it's also bound up with how we address the climate challenge, how we address the enormous risk that the world faces coming out of the shifts in the world's ecology. It's a major challenge. I mean, the largest risks that every nation faces are increasingly going to be global risks. They're going to be global risks and the risks that are common to all of us. But to
Singapore, just wondering whether you think this polarization and stratification which we see in the developed countries in the West is simply inevitable for Singapore as we see continuous progress in the future, or whether we can do something or develop something like an anti-culture of polarization and stratification.
I think the risk is there in every society. And we're not